The UFC White House ceremonial weigh-in wasn't just another pre-fight event. It felt like a moment that blended sports history, American culture, and the global reach of mixed martial arts into one unforgettable spectacle. Fans packed the venue hours before the fighters even stepped on stage. The energy was different. There was a sense that everyone present knew they were witnessing something unique. UFC events have been held in arenas all over the world, but seeing the promotion bring a ceremonial weigh-in to a setting associated with American history created a completely different atmosphere. As the crowd grew louder, cameras flashed from every angle. Broadcasters, journalists, and content creators lined the stage area, all eager to capture every second. The UFC has mastered the art of turning a weigh-in into must-see entertainment, and this event was no exception. The music hit, the lights came on, and fans erupted as the first fighters began making their way toward the stage. Every athlete carried a different energy. Some looked calm and focused, while others stared down opponents before they even reached the scale. One of the most fascinating parts of any ceremonial weigh-in is the psychology on display. The actual weight-cutting process is already complete. The hard work has been done. What remains is the mental battle. Fighters know millions of people are watching. Every expression, every stare, every movement gets analyzed. Some competitors use humor to stay relaxed. Others choose complete silence. A few try to intimidate their opponents before fight night even arrives. The crowd responded to every fighter differently. Popular stars received thunderous applause as they walked onto the stage. Rising contenders used the moment to introduce themselves to a wider audience. Every cheer and every reaction seemed amplified because of the setting. It wasn't simply another stop on the UFC calendar. It felt like a celebration of how far mixed martial arts has come over the years. When the main card fighters stepped forward, the atmosphere reached another level. The audience immediately stood to their feet. Chants echoed throughout the venue. Fans held signs high above their heads. Security personnel moved closer to the stage, fully aware that intense face-offs can become emotional in seconds. The tension was impossible to ignore. One by one, fighters stepped onto the scale. The official weight was announced, and each athlete posed for photographs. Some flexed for the cameras. Others pointed directly at their opponents. The confidence was obvious. Months of preparation had led to this moment. Training camps filled with sacrifice, injuries, hard sparring sessions, and strict diets were finally reaching their conclusion. The face-offs delivered exactly what fans wanted. Fighters stood inches apart, staring into each other's eyes. Neither competitor wanted to be the first to look away. These moments often become iconic images that are remembered long after the fight itself. The ceremonial weigh-in is where narratives are created. It's where rivalries become personal. It's where fans begin making final predictions about who looks stronger, who appears more confident, and who might have gained a mental edge. Commentators discussing the event noted how relaxed some fighters appeared despite the pressure. Veterans who have experienced championship fights before seemed completely comfortable under the spotlight. Younger athletes, however, displayed a mixture of excitement and intensity. For many of them, performing on a stage of this magnitude represented a career-defining opportunity. As the event continued, the production value was impossible to miss. Massive screens showcased fighter highlights. Career accomplishments flashed across displays. Knockouts, submissions, and championship victories played for the crowd. Every video package reminded fans why these athletes had earned their place on such a significant card. The UFC understands storytelling better than almost any combat sports organization, and the ceremonial weigh-in served as the perfect final chapter before fight night. What stood out most was the respect shown between many of the competitors. While trash talk often dominates headlines, several fighters exchanged nods and handshakes after their stare-downs. Beneath the rivalry, there was mutual recognition of the sacrifices required to reach this level. Every athlete on that stage understood the dedication necessary to compete among the world's best. As the main event fighters finally emerged, the noise became deafening. Fans knew this was the moment they had been waiting for. The two stars slowly approached the stage, soaking in the atmosphere. Neither rushed. Both understood the significance of the occasion. They stepped onto the scale, made weight, and then moved toward the center for the final face-off. The stare-down felt like it lasted forever. The crowd fell into a strange mix of cheers and anticipation. Neither fighter blinked. Neither moved. The intensity radiated through the entire venue. Security watched closely as the fighters stood nose to nose. Then, after one final moment of tension, they separated without incident. The crowd exploded with applause. As the ceremonial weigh-in came to an end, one thing was clear: the UFC had once again transformed a simple pre-fight requirement into a major event. The White House setting added a sense of history and prestige that made the occasion feel even larger than life. Fans left with unforgettable images, fighters left ready for battle, and the countdown to fight night officially began. The weigh-ins were over. The talking was done. The preparation was complete. All that remained was the fight itself, a night where careers could change forever, champions could be crowned, and new stars could emerge under the brightest lights in mixed martial arts. The UFC White House ceremonial weigh-in delivered one of the most unique moments in combat sports history. Long before the fighters stepped onto the stage, fans were already filling the venue, creating an atmosphere that felt more like a championship fight night than a pre-fight event. Cameras were everywhere, media members crowded around the stage, and excitement continued to build with every passing minute. Everyone understood that this wasn't just another weigh-in. It was a historic showcase of the UFC's growth and influence on the global sports stage. As the lights dimmed and the music blasted through the speakers, the crowd erupted. Fighters began making their entrances one by one, each carrying a different mindset. Some smiled and waved to the fans, enjoying the moment, while others walked with laser focus, refusing to acknowledge anyone around them. The ceremonial weigh-in has always been about more than stepping on a scale. It's the final opportunity for fighters to send a message before entering the octagon, and every athlete seemed determined to make their presence felt. The energy intensified as the featured fighters appeared. Fans cheered, chanted names, and held up signs supporting their favorite competitors. Every fighter who stepped onto the stage received a reaction, but the biggest stars generated thunderous applause that shook the venue. The combination of elite athletes, a massive audience, and a historic setting created a feeling unlike anything seen at a traditional UFC event. When the official weights were announced, the crowd responded with approval. The difficult weight cuts were complete, and the fighters could finally focus on the competition ahead. Relief was visible on many faces. Weeks of sacrifice, strict dieting, and intense training had led to this moment. Now, with the scales behind them, the focus shifted entirely to the battles waiting on fight night. Then came the face-offs. For many fans, this is the highlight of any weigh-in. Fighters stood inches apart, staring directly into each other's eyes. No words were necessary. Confidence, determination, and competitive fire were communicated through silence alone. Some athletes smiled. Others remained expressionless. Every stare-down seemed to tell its own story, creating anticipation for the matchups to come. The main card face-offs brought even more intensity. Rivalries that had been building for months finally reached their final chapter before the fight. The crowd reacted to every movement. A smirk, a head shake, or a step forward was enough to spark loud cheers. Security remained close, understanding how quickly emotions can rise when elite competitors meet face-to-face. Yet despite the tension, the fighters remained composed, saving their aggression for the cage. Commentators throughout the event discussed body language and mental preparation. Experienced veterans looked calm and confident, while younger fighters appeared eager to prove themselves on one of the biggest stages of their careers. Analysts debated who seemed more focused, who carried momentum into the contest, and who might have gained a psychological advantage. These discussions only added to the excitement surrounding the event. One of the most impressive aspects of the ceremony was the production itself. Giant screens displayed career highlights, memorable knockouts, and championship victories. Fans were reminded of the incredible journeys that brought each fighter to this stage. Every video package reinforced the importance of the event and the stakes involved. Championships, rankings, legacies, and future opportunities were all on the line. As the ceremony moved toward its conclusion, attention turned to the main event. The atmosphere instantly changed. The noise level rose dramatically as the headline fighters emerged. This was the matchup everyone had come to see. Both competitors carried themselves with confidence as they approached the scale. The crowd watched every movement, knowing that this would be the final public meeting before fight night. After successfully making weight, the two fighters met at center stage. The face-off was electric. Neither athlete backed down. They stood motionless, locked in an intense stare that seemed to last forever. Fans erupted with excitement, sensing